It is said that ignorance is bliss, and Hollywood is constantly blissfully uninformed of technological advancements to this day. This is something that movies and television shows never seem to get right, as they are either out of date or very ahead of their time. The representation of detectives performing things that simply cannot be done now, as well as the portrayal of devices from the previous century as the norm for the future, are examples of how Hollywood frequently misses the mark when it comes to technology. Number 5. Your DNA is ready to go, and you are getting ahead of yourself. Investigative and forensic dramas are the worst examples of this type of programming. They have the ability to take something that takes a significant amount of time and reduce it to a procedure that takes only 2 minutes. It simply does not function in this manner. One such example is the identification of people's DNA. It is impossible to swing a corpse bag without arriving at a forensic procedural drama in which the characters are able to analyze and compare DNA evidence in a matter of minutes. You can watch them do it on CSI in a single minute and 60 seconds. Even Ancestry DNA, which is offered by Ancestry.com, requires between 6 and 8 weeks to finish its testing when DNA samples are obtained in the correct manner. Isn't it a really slow speed? However, rapid DNA testing might take place in the near future. The Rapid DNA Program Office was established by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, in the year 2010. Its objective is to create a gadget that can do an analysis on a mouth swab in a matter of just 1 or 2 hours. After that, a comparative search can be conducted on the DNA databases that are already in existence. After taking into account the fact that the Government Bureau of Investigation is collaborating with the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the National Institute of Justice, and other federal agencies, there is a significant possibility that this objective will be accomplished. Number 4. You should be featured in photographs. The traditional image enhancement trope is yet another illustration of the phenomenon of obtaining something from nothing. One is familiar to you. Jack Black, who plays the role of a forensic imaging technician in the film Enemy of the State, is able to transform a 2-dimensional segment from a video camera into a 3-dimensional one through some sort of magical process. As a result, he is able to swivel it to view everything. I am sorry. Regardless of the circumstances, you will not be able to see anything. It is not included in the photo. There is a limit to how far a picture can be improved. What about you? Nevertheless, cameras that are able to look around corners are currently being developed. A brand new technique for taking photographs, known as femtophotography, is capable of capturing 1 trillion frames each second. To say that the camera is able to see at the speed of light is an understatement. When you have the ability to see at the speed of light, you are able to see the light that is reflected off of things that are not being captured in the frame. You can determine the geometry of the things that are not visible on the screen by applying some complex mathematics to those light patterns. It is not yet able to achieve fine details, so please be patient. The photography of femtos might just reach that level of quality. Number 3. It's a hacker targeting us. That movie computers alert you when they are being hacked to something that you just adore, don't you think? There are skulls or files that are disappearing, and supersized visuals and text are flying up at a pace that is dazzling. In which films or television shows does this take place? Choose one. There's a wide variety of options available. When this happens, the good guy will typically begin to move windows around on their screen and open and close files during the process. The assault is repelled by that in some way. There is no surprise. Most Hollywood hacking is completely fictitious. Watch as Garcia, a character from Criminal Minds, is hacked while playing an MMORPG, massively multiplayer online role-playing game. First, let's give this some thought for a moment. You know how often large companies are hacked, but they don't find out until a long time after the fact. Hackers have no intention of ever being discovered. You won't be aware of the fact that you've been hacked if it's done correctly. Imagine for a moment that someone did notice you on their network. After that point, putting a stop to the onslaught isn't actually that difficult to accomplish. At first glance, it does not appear to be very fancy. But if you give it some time, Plan X has the potential to become that extravagant if the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARE-PA, of the United States. Number 2. Inquire about the phone. In the past 20 years, the technology behind phones has advanced at such a rapid pace that we ought to be more amazed by it than we actually are. There is little doubt that the people working in Hollywood, with their extensive creative abilities, ought to have been able to envision a world with something comparable to smartphones. Do you agree with me? Is it not possible for them to conceive of future communication gadgets that are much more advanced? Take a peek at the scene that is shown at the beginning of The Fifth Element. The phone is still just a cordless telephone, despite the fact that it has a lot of cutting-edge technology. That year was 1997. Did they not even have the ability to replicate the communicators used in Star Trek from 1966, as Motorola did with the StarTAC devices in 1997? Oh, Hollywood, you could have done a better job by yourselves. After all, a significant amount of the technology featured in Star Trek was actually implemented. Number 1. We have the disc available. Are you familiar with the moment in The Matrix in which Neo sells Choi discs, by the way? Was a mini-disc, by the way. When Sony first introduced the mini-disc to the public in 1992, it was a product that was much ahead of its time. It comes as a surprise that Sony continues to sell recorders and players for mini-disc, but that doesn't really signify much at all. There is still the option to purchase record players. Vinyl is more hip than ever. But The Matrix was released in the year 1999. If this is the case, then why wouldn't they consider using USB flash drives? Instantaneously after that, flash drives were introduced to the market. Given the presence of so many nerds behind the camera, it is reasonable to assume that somebody would have been aware that the flash drive was just around the bend. To reiterate, it is remarkable that flat screens did not become the standard in the film industry much earlier, given that the film industry is so in sync with visual arts and display technology. On the other hand, the dystopian science fiction classic Gattaca, which was released in 1997, depicts all of its future genetic uber people working on computers with CRT monitors from the past. It is true that they had a more sophisticated appearance than the beige behemoths that were prevalent in the 1980s. However, if individuals in the future are able to gene splice like a god, wouldn't it be possible for them to at least go from a CRT to a flat screen? To be sure, they could. The first LCD televisions were sold in retail establishments in the year 1988. At the time that Gattaca was released in 1997, flat-screen televisions were the object of everyone's envy. Take a look at this little advertisement for a Philips flat-screen television that was published in 1998. The closing reckoning. In spite of everything that has happened, we ought to give Hollywood a break. When it comes to technology, it is simple to mock people for making mistakes. Take into consideration that the ability to suspend one's disbelief is an essential component of entertainment, particularly when it comes to science fiction. Also, we are aware that having everything take place in the same manner as in real life is monotonous. Consequently, this is the reason that we watch these shows in the moment. What's your favorite tech mess-up? Are you a certified techno geek who still loves some CSI or Scorpion? What's your favorite hacker-type show? Share it with us in the comments below, because surely everyone likes to talk TV and movies. Also hit that subscribe button to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.